Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Speaking Wrestling with Elvis Arroyo, and this is episode 34, and this week we are speaking AEW Dynamite, NXT. Also going to give you guys what to watch, and MVPs and floppers of the week, so stick around for that. But before we get started, guys, just a quick reminder, head on over to our YouTube page, hit subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram at Speaking Wrestling and on Twitter at Speaking Wrestle, and also email us at Speaking Wrestling if you guys have any comments, suggestions for the podcast. And if you want a shout out, be sure to go over to our Twitter and give us a retweet for a shout out on the show. Alright guys, let's get started because this week it's a go-home edition for AEW's Dynamite. Their first ever go-home edition leading into a pay-per-view. They were live in the Bojangles Arena in Charlotte, North Carolina. Things got started off very good with a great opening matchup between Pac and Trent Beretta here. But I gotta say, guys, this match went a little bit way too long, a little bit more of a spot fest towards the end. A lot of false finishes. I kind of thought that this would have been a good match, good pairing, which it was. But again, the false finishes and the match dragged along way too much for me. Great victory over Trent. Trent, he's a great guy. He's right now stuck in that best friends tag team and trio with Orange Cassidy, which he had a really big pop in the night. Crowd really takes to Orange Cassidy. Still, I think there's going to be a limit to that character on what you can do and how much you can run with that character and what he does with his shenanigans up until a point when you kind of want more than just the same old. But Pac here picking up a great win over Trent. And like I was saying, Trent is a great competitor on his own. And tonight was a great night showcasing that if he, went off and did his own thing in singles competition, he's had great matches over in New Japan with Kenny Omega, with Will Ospreay that were just one-on-one matches. Having a match here with Pac to open up AEW Dynamite was a great match startup. Who knows? Maybe in the future for Trent, he can go off in singles and tread that water. And also this night leading into what is Full Gear this Saturday, live on pay-per-view, guys. There was a lot of vignettes, a lot of promos showcasing a lot of the superstars that are featured in the top main event matches, along with other matches along the night. Tonight there was the tag team match with the women. Really, it's the low point of the show for me. Their women's division is really low. They got a lot of time in this. I don't know if that's because they're trying to make up for the fact that their women's matches aren't that long or their women's division isn't that strong. Whatever the case is, again, AEW right now, their weakest point is the women's division, which to me, I would think that should be your strongest point, being where we're at now. It's 2019, and you got to have a strong women's division. Every other company right now, promotion, has strong women in their company that they can easily point to and say, if we needed the woman or the women's division to carry the show, we can lay it on them to do so. AEW right now, women headlining a Dynamite or a pay-per-view right now, it's a far-fetched question right now, and it's one that I think AEW should have been much more prepared, or maybe they are, but it isn't being run correctly. And the person in charge of the women's division, of course, is Brandy Rhodes, and she got her own vignette here, once again showcasing herself, her character, and Awesome Kong. This character that Brandy's portraying seems to be a little bit of blurred lines from reality and what's character she's playing on AEW Dynamite, because yes, she does get a lot of criticism from wrestling fans and the wrestling industry about her skills or talent, or who is she and why is she in the position that she is. Could it be Cody, or that she's just, married to the business? Other than that, this character right now, I don't get. I think it's one of those that you have to just wait and see where it unfolds. I mean, it'd be great to see Awesome Kong on television every single week. That I just spoke, that their women's division lacks in star power right now. And she's a Hall of Famer in Impact Wrestling. She's a great competitor. I think having her on TV rather than these vignettes, who knows? We'll see her this Saturday. Maybe they'll come down during the women's match. Also, Shawn Spears was in action once again. Picks up another terrific victory here. Very impressive for him as he took on Brandon Cutler. We also saw a vignette from Kenny and Moxley leading up to their matchup this weekend, they showed a replay of everything that's been gone on through between these two guys and their history leading up to the match. And also an interview from Kenny Omega was put into that promo package. And, Kenny, I don't know if he's trying to be funny, if he's just really sarcastic, or if that's really like his character, because he comes off as almost as if he's just too good for everything and everyone, almost like as he doesn't care. Almost that kind of, he kind of seems like that kind of guy that's just been, playing video games all weekend and, slowly rolling out of bed to do this interview and stuff like that. And, when the match comes with Moxley on Saturday, it'll come, I would think, for a rivalry like this that they're setting up for. And also Moxley, his character right now, when you look at both of these characters, is polar opposite, although what they can bring in the ring is a great matchup there between these two, and it's a dream matchup. I mean, really it is, guys. I mean, it's Dean Ambrose from WWE now as Jon Moxley taking on Kenny Omega, who, while Moxley was still working over in WWE, Kenny was tearing it up in New Japan. And now we have this opportunity to finally see what a guy like Kenny Omega can go in there and do with a main event superstar like Jon Moxley. So this is a great matchup here. But again, I would think that the promos leading into this, Kenny would take it a little bit more serious, but maybe that's just the way it's been. Kenny, throughout, his vignettes and promos, almost, like I said, comes off as if he's like too cool for whatever situation he's in. And Cody Rhodes, so let's get to Cody, because he also had a moment in the ring as being interviewed by Tony Schiavone, as he had a big major announcement which pertained to his career. And the big announcement, which he got out of the way really quickly, was that if Chris Jericho defeats Cody Rhodes at Full Gear, Cody Rhodes, being an EVP and getting a lot of the criticism of what an EVP and also a wrestler comes with, especially when you're putting yourself in the main event picture, if he does not come up with the AEW championship, he will never wrestle for the AEW championship ever again. I like that stipulation. It adds in a little bit more heat to the match. Definitely a lot more drama to what the outcome is going to be of this match, because now it definitely will have a lasting effect on Cody's career in his time in AEW. And also, Chris Jericho had his own promo and vignette with many talking heads, mostly the Inner Circle, and a lot of made-up characters. It seemed like it was his grandma. And we also got Mike Jones, better known as Virgil to those, or Vincent in the NWO, in here. This was obviously a spoof, a comedy spot, but once again, it's the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. It's the main event. It's Cody going out there and saying that this is the biggest thing and means everything to him, and yet they run a vignette featuring their World Heavyweight Champion in a comedy spot. I mean, you don't know who to take seriously, because one week you need to take Kenny Omega seriously because he's in a very heated rivalry and matchup with Jon Moxley, but yet he comes out dressed up for Halloween. He's not taking it seriously. He's doing run-ins on other matches, and he's an EVP. You can't take him seriously, along with Cody Rhodes. I mean, he's saying this is the biggest match of his career, but yet he keeps making this all about himself with the jet flying, the limousine riding. It's too much of, is he a heel or a good guy? And again, Chris Jericho with this vignette, who was getting a lot of laughters from that live audience as they were watching this vignette, comes off as the ultimate good guy, because everything that Chris Jericho has, you got a little bit of the bubbly. The crowd popped for that, and they marked out for that. And then also now with Chris Jericho calling himself Le Champion, I mean, that's another reason to pop for. There's just so many things that Chris gives you that he comes off as the total rock star and the guy that is going up against the man, the company, the structure, AEW here. Chris Jericho and the Inner Circle are the true badasses, but for some reason, somehow, the Elite, I mean, that name sounds totalitarian. It sounds like the Elite, and Cody Rhodes coming out and dressing the way they do. They're all EVPs. We're actually cheering for, don't want to turn this too much into WWE talk, but it's like it's like if we're cheering for the McMahons, we're cheering for them in the main event spot when they're going up against, you know, the cool looking heels like Chris Jericho in the Inner Circle here. So, you know, I'm always confused with this because I find myself liking what the Inner Circle's doing, but as a wrestling fan, you're being forced and told to that or adapt that you're supposed to cheer for the good guys. But in this case, the good guys, you know, really don't give me that much to want to cheer for them. They are the establishment, and Chris Jericho and the Inner Circle are the rebellion here. And as we saw in the closing moments of this show, which we also saw a great tag team match in the main event with Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho taking on Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. But the big fallout was post-match of this tag team match. Sammy and Chris Jericho did pick up the victory here. Chris Jericho with a Judas effect on Hangman Adam Page. As we saw Cody Rhodes run out, then we see Jon Moxley run out. Then we see Santana and Ortiz run out. Then we see the Young Bucks run out. I mean, it got to a point where at the very end, it was turning into a Royal Rumble. Classic WCW back in the Nitro, where everybody's just doing a run-in and they're going off-air with total chaos here. I thought, look, it's good high-impact action if that's what you want to deliver, but on an episode like this where it's a go-home show, I feel like they try to cram way too much of the matchups that they do have going on this Saturday at Full Gear into that last segment, and it just felt such like a clusterfuck. I mean, it was really... I was just wanting them to go off air because of how bad it looked, but that's AEW there for you guys. But the show is Full Gear. It is live this Saturday, guys. It's on BR Live and on pay-per-view, also available for the Fight Network. I will be watching the show, so to get my quick take on AEW Full Gear, tune in to next week's show. Now let's talk some NXT. NXT this week, I did mention on episode 33 this week that on my What to Watch segment is this week's NXT. And I did say it's this week's What to Watch because with the whole NXT invasion, you know that someone from Raw and SmackDown are going to make their way down to Full Sail. And in this case, we got AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, the OC make their way. And as they opening scenes of the show, they showed them attack Undisputed Era. Then they made their way to the ring, claiming that this is now their home down in NXT. I like this a lot. We also got Tommaso Ciampa coming out here, interrupting AJ Styles, cutting a great promo here. It's so nice to see this pairing of NXT guys, true NXT guys, going up against true main event roster guys. You know, the OC are three gentlemen that didn't come up through the NXT system, didn't even, you know, step one foot into Full Sail. So for them to make their debut here on NXT, and then with a prominent NXT superstar like Tommaso Ciampa to meet them halfway, I mean, it was just a good visual here. But he wasn't alone because he came with Matt Riddle and Keith Lee. And it looks like we got ourselves a 6-man tag for the main event. Good stuff there. We also got Pete Dunne looking to avenge a loss against Damian Priest here. This was a great matchup, probably the match of the week in my eyes for if we're talking about AEW and NXT. Pete Dunne here coming up with a great victory, but Damian Priest throughout this match, really a good veteran. There's moments where there's a little spacey in between these two guys, but I gotta say that the delivery, their effort, it was all there. Damian Priest doing a dive outside and literally just falling on the mat. Oh, man, he's going to be sore after that. But again, I like this. There's kind of a built-in rivalry between these two here. And Pete Dunne, like I said, picks up the victory here. And post-match, he's attacked by Killian Dane, the man that's been after him. And, you know, not only him, but Killian Dane takes it out on Damian Priest as well, who just happens to be in the middle of all this. He then takes it out on Killian Dane. And Killian Dane for dishing it out on another big guy. It looks like he's going to get another big guy after him. Damian Priest, Killian Dane. I'd love to see this matchup if we do get a matchup between these two guys. Also, Santana Garrett made her debut, but comes up short here, losing to Tayana. And Tayana, looking very impressive here. This is her second victory on NXT television, and very good. I do got to say that if they push her for, you know, a strong heel position right now, I do got to say that after they move away from the Shayna Baszler, they got to step away from having that very strong female champion that, has a title reign for over a year, is unbeatable, because in a way it does make the rest of the women like they're not on a level to become NXT Women's Champion. And I think that's a little bit unfair, especially the last couple of years since we had a very strong champion like Asuka, who was unbeatable, and anyone that was in her crosshairs leading up to a title match, you knew you weren't going to win because they were really keeping her strong with the undefeated streak. And as well with Shayna Baszler and, how much they protect her. But there's got to be a time with the women, especially now, that, she could be beaten without really taking away from her character and from her legacy and reputation that she's built from then going from having, an unbelievable title run with the NXT Women's Championship to then all of a sudden losing. That's why we saw Asuka move to the main event, because once Asuka loses in the NXT, where do you go from there? And then we start telling the story of her downfall before she even makes it to the main roster. And I think that might be the same outcome with Shayna Baszler. And now, like I said, with the women that are there in NXT, like a Rhea Ripley, you have Mia Yim, you have a Candice LeRae, you also have a Bianca Belair, all strong women. I mean, really strong women that can be seen holding that women's championship. And it would be great for them to hold that women's championship before they ever make it to a Raw or SmackDown. That's definitely a big accomplishment, and definitely for those that do go on to the main roster and are viewed more as the ones that are going to get that support and, shot up to a top spot, are the ones that are former champions and held those championships for a various amount of time in NXT. And speaking of the women in NXT, Mia Yim is added to Rhea Ripley's team. Not sure who is going to be the fourth member in Shayna Baszler's team, but very interesting here, because when Rhea Ripley made the decision to choose Mia Yim after Mia Yim came down for the save on Dakota Kai, who she lost to Shayna Baszler in a very good matchup on NXT television, Rhea Ripley had the opportunity to choose her fourth member as Tegan Nox or Mia Yim, but Rhea Ripley decided to choose Mia Yim here. And I gotta say, it's a good choice for Mia Yim to be selected here, because last several weeks I kind of was thinking, where the hell has Mia Yim been, and did we lose track on pushing her? Because I think she's a great character. She's being portrayed as a face. She's a really hood badass type of girl, and I think she has more character traits of being this vicious, rude heel. It's never too late to go down that way. But Dakota Kai not being chosen as a fourth member here, very surprised, and she didn't take it very well not being chosen here as she walked off. Only leads me to think, could she be the fourth member in Shayna's team? We're only several weeks away from NXT War Games, so never too late for her to be chosen or make her way over to Shayna's team. Look forward to that. Also, look forward to Angel Garza as he became the number one contender, taking on Tony Nese in what was a great match here. Angel Garza becoming the number one contender for that WWE Cruiserweight Championship, and Lio Rush. And Lio Rush, not too long after Angel Garza picks up a very impressive win, walks out onto the stage to meet the new number one contender and to meet Angel Garza. And Angel Garza with a great smile and a big slap to Lio Rush. I mean, a big slap. Leo, of course, no-sold it, had a big smile and let him know, all right, it's on now. But once again, no selling that slap. But man, you can tell that was a slap for the ages. I'm looking forward to that. I really like these two guys. Angel Garza, I mean, I'm going to say it every single week so you guys know that I've been saying this since NXT started. Angel Garza is the next Eddie Guerrero. I mean, he definitely is. He's got the pedigree for it. He's got the looks. He's got the charm. And he's got the skills for it. So picking up a win here, a Lio Rush at NXT TakeOver for the Cruiserweight Championship would be a great accomplishment for Angel Garza. And it once again serves my case as to why I believe he is the next Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero being a great Cruiserweight legend, former Cruiserweight champion. Man, I would just love to see that for this kid. Dominik Dijakovic also was in action against Isaiah Scott. And this was a really good matchup, a good TV matchup. Dominik Dijakovic picking up the victory here. Good stuff from them. And let's get on to our main event, our 6-man tag main event, which we alluded to at the beginning of the show, was going to be the OC taking on Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, and Matt Riddle. And man, this match got kicked off with a bang. Insane brawl all over the place. Good stuff here. And you can tell that the crowd was into this match as well. It felt like everybody was on their feet throughout this whole matchup. Great ending to it. A lot of hard-hitting stuff towards the end. Very impressed when I see Keith Lee going in there and working with these veteran guys. Keith Lee is amazing. He's definitely improving week by week by week. And another guy that's improving is Matt Riddle. Seeing Matt Riddle in there with AJ Styles, I mean, dude, that's so cool. It seriously is. I mean, just seeing AJ Styles inside Full Sail University and going in there and working with guys, that he's never worked with before. Very young. I mean, this is the next generation. AJ Styles is, a veteran out walking amongst all these guys. It's so nice to see, AJ Styles really go out there and have fun. I can tell that the atmosphere of the crowd and down there in the NXT arena and the match, how hard-hitting it was, the intensity. I mean, you can tell that AJ was at a different level enjoying this. You can maybe think that he rather prefer this for a little bit. I would love to see that. AJ, great all over the place here in this matchup. But in the end, what it was all about was Finn Balor making his presence in the very end. And what a scene. We've got this moment, this very special, unique moment between AJ Styles holding up the Too Sweet, Finn Balor doing the finger point gun. And just for a few seconds, you really thought that this is a culmination of Finn Balor joining sides with the OC and having a little rendition of a former stable that all these 4 men were once a part of. But it wasn't Finn Balor who had to have the last laugh. No. You know who had to have the last laugh? The NXT champion, Adam Cole, who's had one hell of a week. And once again, Adam Cole closes out WWE television on top and giving a nice glamorous stare to Finn Balor. That stare between them lets me know there's some unfinished business. And if you know the history of the Bullet Club, you know that AJ Styles' first night in Japan was Finn Balor's last, and AJ Styles' last night in Japan was Adam Cole's first. So the history between Adam Cole, AJ Styles, and Finn Balor is an interesting one as well. Right now, WWE is hitting it out of the ballpark on all 3 shows. They were all 3 must-watch because of this NXT invasion angle. I enjoy this show very much, and it is now time to get to our what to watch. Our what to watch, guys, this week is NWA Power, Impact Wrestling, and MLW Fusion. All 3 shows are available on Tuesday now. You can check them out on YouTube, or you can check them out on Access Television for Impact Wrestling, BN Sports for MLW, and YouTube for NWA Power. And now it's time for our performers and floppers of the week. This is where I give you guys my MVPs and performers of the week. My MVP for the week is AEW's Pac. Once again, Pac being the true heel, sticking to his character, and also picking up a very great win, like I said, over Trent Beretta to kick off AEW Dynamite. And my flopper of the week, guys, is Brandy Rhodes. I'm just right now confused with what she's going with, and also cringeworthy to watch her promos. And that's all I got to say about that, guys. And with that being said, guys, I want to give you guys a big thank you for checking out this podcast. And you can help support this podcast by heading on over to our YouTube page, hitting subscribe, also following us on Instagram at Speaking Wrestling and on Twitter at Speaking Wrestle. All right, guys, another wrestling week in the books. AEW's Full Gear is this Saturday, guys. And be sure to come back for episode 35 next week for Raw and SmackDown talk. You guys have a great weekend. Bye-bye.